Buddha Avatar, the enlightened one. Buddha Avatar is the ninth amongst the Dasavatar of Lord Vishnu. There was a small country in southern Nepal ruled by a clan called Sakyas. The head of this clan was named Suddhodana Gautam, and his wife was the beautiful Mahamaya. Mahamaya gave birth to a beautiful child and named him Siddhartha, meaning he who has attained his goals. King Suddhodana consulted a well known soothsayer concerning the future of his son. The astrologer proclaimed that the child would either become a great king or a great sage, savior of humanity. The king, eager that his son should become a king like himself, shielded the child from anything that might inspire him to take up the religious way of life. Hence, Siddhartha was kept in one or another of their three places and was prevented from experiencing much of what ordinary folk might consider quite commonplace. He was not permitted to see the elderly, the sickly, the dead, or anyone who had dedicated themselves to spiritual practices. Only beauty and health surrounded Siddhartha. Siddhartha grew up to be a handsome young man. As a prince of the warrior community, he was trained in the art of war. When it was time for him to marry, he won the hand of a beautiful princess of a neighboring kingdom by besting all competitors at a variety of sports. Her name was Yasodhara, and they married when both were 16 years old. And Siddhartha continued living in the luxury of his palaces. He grew increasingly restless and curious about the world beyond the palace walls. He finally demanded that he be permitted to see his people and his land. As he was led through Kapilvastu, the capital, he saw a couple of old men who had accidentally wandered near a parade route. Then he came across a man who was suffering from leprosy. Finally, he came across a funeral ceremony and for the first time in his life saw death. He asked his friend and Squire Chandaka the meaning of all these things. Chandaka informed him of the simple truth that Siddhartha should have known all along that all of us get old, sick, and eventually die. Siddhartha also saw a ascetic, a monk who had renounced all the pleasures of the flesh. The peaceful look on the monk's face stayed with Siddhartha. At the age of 29, Siddhartha came to realize that he could not be happy living as a householder. He had seen people suffering and wanted to discover how one might overcome suffering. After bidding goodbye to his sleeping wife and newborn son Rahul, he snuck out of the palace. He then started practicing severe austerities in the town of Bodh Gaya. Siddhartha decided that he would sit under a certain fig tree as long as it would take for the answers to the problem of suffering to come from within. He sat there for many days in deep concentration and meditation, opening himself to the truth. He then began to recall all his previous lives and to see everything that was going on in the entire universe. On the full moon of May, with the rising of the morning star, Siddhartha finally understood the answer to the question of suffering and become the Buddha, he who is awake. At Sarnath, near Banaras, about 100 miles from Bodh Gaya, he preached his first sermon, which is called Setting the Wheel of Teaching in Motion. He explained the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path. Buddha achieved enlightenment at the age of 35. He spread his teachings throughout northeast India for another 45 years. When the Buddha was 80 years old, he told his friend and cousin Ananda that he would be leaving them soon, and so it came to be that in Kusinagar, not 100 miles from his homeland, he went into deep meditation under a grove of sala tree and left his world. His last words were, "Impermanent are all created beings. Strive on with awareness." बुद्धा अवतारा की जय. Thank you.